Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Carla Winger with DEKRA, and presenting today with me is Courtney Stevenson. Before we get started, we have a few housekeeping notes. Today we will be talking about how to perform an audit, but we will not be talking about the administration side, such as how to set the audits up. This will be recorded and it will be sent out to everyone who registered in an email in the next day or two. You can also access our webinar through the YouTube channel by searching DEKRA Management Systems. We also include this on the email that is being sent out. All phone lines are muted, so if you have questions, please use the chat feature and we will discuss those questions at the end. Let's get started. The agenda today, we're going to be talking about audit benefits and features, the insight via role-level access to perform audits. We're going to discuss 3 methods available to complete audits. We're going to be performing scheduled audits, and we're going to talk about reports. Some of the benefits of using the audit feature in our system is auditing is the most effective way of implementing lessons learned in an organization. Auditing assures compliance with the company's life-saving rules, policies, and procedures. Benchmarking data suggests that a well-implemented auditing program can lower severity rates. And auditing in combination with a strong proactive hazard identification and removal program gives the best results. Some of the features, you can schedule and track internal and external audits and inspections. You can assign audit teams. You can customize audits specific to location or operation and assign maximum scores for each. You can assign corrective actions to follow up on audit findings. You can trend audit scores by policy, audit questions, or location over time. And you can track repeat findings. How are audits used? You can use them for internal audits, such as safety walkthroughs, environmental, DOT, food safety, marine, quality assurance, processes, and documentation. You can also track them using checklists, such as pre-trip inspections, hazmat checks, self-checks, and mobile equipment checks. Miscellaneous ones could be calibrations, temperature checks, inventory, and cleaning schedules. Role-level access for our system, you can see here, corporate users can create and edit the audit types. They can also complete and approve corporate and location type audits. It's the only role level that can change the scheduled date. A business unit and region user can perform corporate audits and location type audits and approve them. And location admin can also do location admin can only complete and approve location type audits. Location admin can view corporate audits only. The location edit and location view have no access to the audit application, but they both can perform an audit, but they do not have the access to enter it back into the system, so somebody else will have to do that. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Courtney, and she's going to talk to you about performing audits.
Okay, thanks, Carla. So now I'm going to discuss with you some of the different methods we can use to enter audits. We have 3 methods. The first one is the online method, and you can basically use the Insight via system to import your audit information. We have a print option where you can print out the audit from the Insight via system and fill that information out and then data enter it later back into the system. And then we also have a mobile feature as well. So first, we're going to go through how to navigate in the Insight via system to get to the audit application. So I am logged in right now as a location admin user. So any user that is business unit to location admin is going to go to administration, policy audit administration, schedule. If you're a corporate user, you would go to administration and then it will say program C here, and you'll go to policy audit administration and schedule as well. The schedule page is going to show you all of the audits that are scheduled or have been completed and approved for the location that you're looking at or the location you have access to. So at the very top of the page, it's going to show you some parameters, and these parameters will filter the grid below for your audits. So if we look right now, the employee that I'm looking at is looking at Minneapolis. If I want to switch that to Galveston, I can. And then I also have some parameters here for status of the audit. So we have a completed. If I want to look at all, I want to look at all audits that have been approved as well. Carla mentioned that we have corporate and location type audits. So if I want to filter by looking at just one or the other or both, I can do that as well. And then we have an audit name dropdown. This audit dropdown is going to give you a list of all of the audit types that are available for the location that you're looking at. So a corporate user has set up different audit types, and in those audit types, they've selected questions to be filled out for the specific locations that you're looking at for the certain audit type. So this is a list of all of the audit types that are available for Galveston. So we are going to look at the pre-operational checklist. Then below that, we have some date ranges, a start and end date range. In the grid below, you're going to see a column for schedule. So these date ranges are based off of the schedule date of the audit. So depending on what audit you're wanting to look at, you're going to want to set your date ranges to see that specific audit schedule time. So then once you set your parameters, you'll hit search. And that information is going to pull up the audits that are in regards to your filtering. So if we look down here, we're looking at the pre-operational checklist. It's a location type audit for Galveston, and it's going to give us the frequency information for that audit type. It's going to show us the schedule date for the audits. If any audits have been completed and approved, the dates will show for those. If they've been completed and approved, it will show the score information. And then it will also show any findings if that audit had any findings. The last column is the question answer count. And this is used to let you know here on the main grid which questions still haven't been answered or how many questions have not been answered yet for your audit. So if we look here, these ones have all been completed, so they show a 6 out of 6 in red. Any audit that hasn't been completed and approved will show in red until all the questions have been answered, and then it'll switch to green. So it's very easy to see here on the main grid which audits haven't been completed yet or which audits don't have all the questions answered yet. So another thing that's going to be displayed on this main grid is if you are in and doing the other user until you exit that audit. And this just prevents people from both being in the audit at the same time and saving information at the same time. So if, for example, this one right now, Carla is in this audit for Galveston, so it's going to show locked to any user until she exits, and then 5 minutes after she exits, it will be available for anyone else to go in and look at. So if we go back to our grid here, if I wanted to use the print option, so let's say I want to do an audit out in the field and I just want to print it and I want to hand write in my comments and then data enter that information later. So if I wanted to choose that option, I would click on the print button for the audit that I want to perform. So today we're going to perform the scheduled audit for Galveston for the pre-operational checklist on 11/12. So I'll click the print button here. This print button is going to pull up a PDF printout of the audit that I need to complete. So it's going to have the basic audit information at the top, any instructions that I may need to follow when I'm filling out the audit, and it's going to give me space to enter in information such as an audit team, the date completed, and who approved. Then if I scroll down through the audit, it's going to give me more information that I can fill out, such as there's going to be a list of questions that I need to answer. I have room to add comments. I can score the audit, provide if it's going to be NA, I can provide that information. So it's going to go through the audit and all of the questions. So once I've completed the audit out in the field, I've written in my information, I may now choose to come into the system and data enter that information back into the audit to complete and approve it. So if I go back to the schedule page, so this is the audit that we just were looking at, to actually input that information that I hand wrote on my audit, I would click on the Go button. And in the Go button is where you can data enter that audit that you worked out in the field with. So while you're doing it, you can go through and add all your comments and all of your information in there. You can complete and approve it. Once you complete and approve it, it will score it, and it will also create any findings that were created from that audit. You do have an option. There's a file upload button in there that you can use to upload the audit, the handwritten audit, if you want to kind of stay with the audit that you completed. So if you'd rather do the print option and data enter later, again, you'll just click on the print button for that audit to print that information, and then the Go button to data enter that information later. So now we are going to look at how to complete an audit online. How do we use Insight VIA to complete an audit? So if we're going to talk about the same audit we're looking at right now, we're going to choose to enter that information in Insight VIA. So just like printing it, you're going to come to the schedule page and you're going to click on the Go button. And that Go button is going to open the audit data entry page. So at the top, it's going to show you the type of audit it is, either a corporate or a location audit. It's going to give you the name of the audit. Any instructions that a corporate user has set for that audit will be listed at the top. The schedule date will also be given. If for some reason you need to change the schedule date, you will need to be at least a corporate user to change that. So if you aren't, you will need to talk to a corporate user to change that date. It will list the frequency of the audit, and the location name will be listed. So the first thing that you really need to do is select an audit team. So you can use the location picker to select your audit team members. So if there's, if you're doing an audit by yourself, you'll select your name, or if you're doing it in a group, you can select those individuals. Then we have an open comment box for any comments that need to be added for the audit itself. So I'm just going to put in here that the audit was completed as a group at the Texas location. Okay. So then we have a supporting files area. So you can add any supporting files you want. Maybe when you were going through the audit, you had some documentation you wanted to add. You can find that documentation in your files and then upload it. You also have the option to give it a friendly name if you want. So the next area here is called extra audit information. And depending on your company, you may or may not see this information. So a corporate user can decide per audit type if they would like to add additional information for the auditor to track. So it's kind of like form building in our policy manual. You can add additional elements to the audit to track, and that information is available here on the edit screen for the auditor to fill in. So if I was filling this out, I could put in who filled out the audit and completed that, if that was the information I needed to track. If I had some additional comments, I could add those in here. If I had an upload file that I needed to attach, I could put that in here. So a corporate user can really decide if there's additional things they want to track, and we can do drop-down menus, text boxes, anything that the user would like to add there. So depending on your company, you may or may not see this feature. So if we scroll on down here to the actual audit, we're going to see where the questions are. And again, a corporate user decides what questions are going to show for that audit type. And the audit is set up in policy manual. So it's going to be organized kind of like the policy manual. So there's going to be the policy manual section, then the policy, and then any questions within that policy. And then it would list the next section, the next policy, and questions within that. So The first thing we need to talk about when we're looking at the actually filling out the audit is, depending on how your company has the audit application set up, we have two different ways to determine how and when an incident is generated from an audit. So I'm going to switch over to a screenshot here to kind of show you the differences. So when you're filling out an audit, your company may be forcing an incident, or they may be allowing the auditor to decide when an incident is created. So the first option here is forcing an incident. And when you force an incident, when the audit is completed and approved, the incidents are automatically created. So for this example, the max value score is 5. So if I was using the force incident option, if I gave this question anything less than max value, when I complete and approve this audit, it's going to automatically create incidents. So some companies may be using this feature. In the second option here is the not forcing an audit, which allows the auditor to decide, you know, if it's less than max value, does it really need to create an incident or not? So for this one, the max value is 1, and this person is saying that it's a 0 because it needs to create an incident, but they have to check this box before they complete and approve for it to actually create an incident. So depending on your company, your audit questions and the way you score them may look a little different. So again, the top one is if you select anything less than max value, it's going to create an incident. This one, you have to actually, sorry, my mouth. This one, you're going to have to actually check the box in order for it to create an incident. So if we go back to our example here, we are using the checkbox option. So we're going to have to check that box if we want an incident to be created. So if we look at this first question here, kitchen equipment is in working condition along with each component and accessory in place. So if I look at this one, I'm going to say, you know, when we were going through the audit, we noticed that the oven knob needs to be replaced, okay? So we can add a comment in. I'm going to go ahead and score that as a 0 because I think that there needs to be an action taken or a corrective action. Somebody needs to order an oven knob. So I'm going to give it a 0, but in order for it to create an incident, again, I have to check that box. And then an incident will be created when we complete and approve it. So each of the questions can have upload files. So if I click the upload file button, I can find my oven knob example that I had for this particular question, and it can be attached. Then I can go to the next question. I'm going to go ahead and give that a 5. That looks good to me. If I go to question 3, again, I think that we have some issues with this one. The location needs to order some more gloves for the location. And I noticed that the mixer utensils need to be ran through the dishwasher, for example. Okay, so I have, again, I have another comment. I can upload another picture if I need to. Maybe I have a picture of the dirty mixer and what needs to be corrected there. I can upload that information. And I will need to, if I want this to create an incident, I will need to check the box to make sure that the incident will be created. So once I finish the audit questions on this initial page, I'll hit Save and Stay to save the information that I've added. So if I scroll down back to the audit information, I'll see there's my pictures that I've attached. I can click on them if I need to. I can double check that I checked the box to make sure incidents were created. So sometimes audits may only have one page of questions, and some audits may have several sections of questions that need to be answered. So right above the audit questions is a drop-down, and that drop-down will show you the different sections that may have questions for your audit. So we just answered the questions in the coffee shop policies and practices, but we also have questions in the safety and compliance manual. So if we click on this, it will take us to the next set of questions that we need to answer. So if we go through, you know, this one's a 1, I'm good with that one. But maybe if we go to the next one, a corporate user can decide if any questions can be allowed as NA. So if a question is allowed as NA, you may see a checkbox next to that question. And maybe this question doesn't apply to my location for whatever reason. I can check that box, and now that question will not count against me when we're scoring the audit. So if any question needs to be marked as NA for your location, you just check that box and it takes away the score information. And then I'm just going to go ahead and answer my next question. So again, I want to hit Save and Stay to save the information that I've added. And once all the questions have been answered for my audit, I'm going to see a Date Completed box come up. So when I click on this box, I can put in the date that I completed the audit. So let's say we completed it today, and I can save that information. Depending on your company, you may have a process for who approves the audit. And when the audit is approved, that's when it's scored and when the incidents are created. So you may have a process for that. But if we're looking at the process for the role levels, like Carla mentioned, a location type audit can be approved by a location admin user or above, and a corporate audit can be approved by a region level user or above. So if we want to go find the audit, since we're a location admin person, and we want to go find the audit that we just completed, we're going to look for a completed audit and an unapproved audit to look for that specific audit that we were looking at. So here's the audit that was scheduled. We completed it today, but it hasn't been approved yet or scored. So if we want to go in and approve that audit, we'll click the Go button. It'll bring us back into the audit here. And if we scroll down, maybe we need to review the audit and make sure everything's checked correctly, and that information is selected. I did forget to mention that any question that you give less than max value, you will have to add a comment in for. So if I made this a 4 and I tried to save, it's going to make me add a comment before I can close. So that's just something to remember. So if I come in and I'm looking at this audit, if I'm ready to approve it, I'm going to see a Approve checkbox right above the date completed. So if I'm ready to approve, I will hit Approve. I can either hit Save or I can hit Save and Stay. And as soon as I approve that audit, it's going to be scored and the incidents are going to be created. So when an incident is created in the audit application, the system has the ability to send out audit finding alerts. And this is an example of what that finding alert would look like. So per your company, you can decide if you want these findings to be sent out to users. So they would be able to see, you know, the date of the incident, the location, the audit question, any comments, who entered it, all of that information would be available to them in an alert. And then they can also click on the link and it will take them to that information in the actual alert itself. So if we switch back here to the audit, once the audit was approved, now below each of the questions that we wanted to create incidents, we're going to see an incident, and it's going to actually be a hyperlink. So if I click on that hyperlink, it's going to take me to the investigation. And on the investigation button, depending on your company's needs, you may have to fill out a full investigation, such as root causes, risk assessment, and all those types of things, or your company may just be assigning corrective actions off of that finding. So depending on your company, you may have several items that you need to fill out on this page. But it's going to give you the audit question information, the comments made. It'll give you the pictures that were attached to that audit finding. And for this particular company, we're just needing to add corrective action. So if I needed to add a corrective action, I can click Add Corrective Action. And if I come to this page, I'll be able to, select a user. I need Dave to order the oven knob by the 7th, okay? Please order the oven knob, okay? And once I save this, it's going to send an email alert to Dave letting him know that a corrective action has been created and he needs to complete it. So he will get that information and then he can come back into the system after he's ordered that knob and close out that corrective action. So if I want to link back to the audit, I can click on the hyperlink here and it will take me back into the audit that we just created. And then I can go to the next incident if I want to. You also can navigate to the audit findings through the application menu in incident reporting. So you can go to the open and close page and filter for the audit findings to find that information as well. You don't have to always go back through the audit. So if I just hit the cancel button here on the audit, it's going to take me back to the schedule page. So if we filter and we want to look for all completed, all approved for our pre-operational checklist for Galveston, we'll be able to see the audit that we just completed. So if we look here, here's the audit. It was scheduled for 11/12. We completed it today. It was approved, and it's going to give us the score and tell us we had 2 audit findings. So the next audit is scheduled off of the completed date of the previous audit. So if we look here, this audit, we completed it on 11/12. It's a monthly audit, so the next one is going to be scheduled for 12/28 for this particular audit. So it automatically schedules off the completed date of the previous audit along with whatever frequency is set for that audit. So if we want to go look at the completed audit that we just created, we can click on the print button. And this print button is going to pull up all of the information that we entered into the edit screen. So you could, save this, send this to your manager or whoever may need to see the finished product here. So if we go through this, it has all the top information filled out from what we filled out on the data entry screen, the schedule date, completed date, who approved it. If I added any comments, those are here. If I had the form information that we talked about, that some companies are using, that information will show at the top. I then can go down to the questions. I can see my comments that I made for the questions, the scoring, the max score and what I gave it, along with the pictures. I can click on the picture and expand it so I can see that image if I need to. And it's going to just go through each question and give us the information for each of those. Then at the bottom, it's also going to give us the incident information. So we had 2 incidents that were created. Here's the comments, and then it will also give corrective action information as well. So as you're going through the audit and you are adding corrective actions, if you come back to the print screen, it's going to keep updating that information. So, if I go in now and I go add a corrective action to order gloves and I come back to this page, that corrective action will be listed here too. So it's constantly updating that information as you add that corrective action information. So now I'm going to give it over to Carla, and she is going to go through the mobile application that we have.
Thanks, Courtney. All right, to start off with, we're just going to talk about some features of using the mobile app. It's easily complete. You can easily complete your audit while you're out in the field. You have less paper and doubling up on work, mainly because you're avoiding filling out all that paper or the audit paper and having to transfer it back online. You can easily attach pictures to each question, and you can also assign corrective actions while performing your audit. So if you're going to be using the mobile app, the first thing you need to do is download the app to your device. So you'll need, for Apple users, need to go to the iTunes store to find it, and if you're an Android user, you need to go to the Google Play Store. And then you're going to want to search My Insight. Keep in mind, we do have 2 mobile apps, so make sure that you're actually clicking on the My Insight app, not the walkthrough app. And up here, you'll be seeing this little diagram, the DEKRA Insight. It says in it in screen. That's what you're looking for. Make sure you get that one, and then you're going to click Install to install it to your device. Once you get into there, you're going to click on My Audits, and then it's going to bring you to this first page that looks just like this. When you get to that page, the first thing you want to do is find an online audit. So you're going to click on this little button right here, and it's going to bring you to this page over here where you can pick your business units, regions, and locations, and then you can search for your audits that you want to do. Once you've got all that figured out, you're going to actually come back to this screen by clicking the back button. And you're going to actually pick which audits you want to do. So you can see here we have a lot of audits listed. You can pick whichever ones you're wanting to do by clicking on this little gear box over here on the right-hand side. You click on that if that's the audit you're wanting, and then what it will do, it'll take it offline just like it does in the online. So it'll say above it, taken offline by whoever took it offline. And then you can do, and then when you're done with that, you're going to hit the back button. It's going to take you back to the Audit Mobile App page. Again, this is kind of your main screen. And now you're going to want to go to perform that audit. So you click on the Perform Audit button. It's going to take you here. You're going to pick which one of the many that you have already downloaded to here. And I'm going to pick the pre-operational checklist. And then it's going to bring you to this front page that has this pie graph on it. This is the main screen for this audit. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's on this page. First of all, the progress, it's going to show you how many questions you have answered in case you haven't got them all completed yet. And that's what this little pie graph does. It's showing you that it's 25%, so they've only done 2 questions and you still have 8 to go. It's also going to tell you about the findings, the corrective actions. If you have any audit instructions, they would be listed right here. And if you want to add any comments for the entire audit, right here, you can put those. And then right underneath it is an Add Media button. So if you have something you want to take a picture of for the and you want to add it to this audit, you can actually hit this Add Media button and it'll take you to your camera and it'll walk you through that. And we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. If you go back up to the top of the page, you're going to see this where it says Index. Anytime you're in the audit system, or audit app, and you're not on this page and you want to get back to it, that's what this does. You click it and it goes to Index. And then this here is the search button. If you click on that, it's actually going to pop up this box over here on the right-hand side of the screen. And there's a couple things you can do in here. You can move around to different sections like Courtney showed you. There's a coffee shop one, and there's a few other ones in here too. Management systems, I think is this one's called. So you can switch back and forth between the sections if you're wanting to answer different questions in those sections. You can also mark all questions from this policy complete by clicking on that button, and you can also go to the questions in this. Now, if you want to start working on the audit, what you're going to do is you're going to be on this main front page, and you're going to swipe from right to left, and that will bring you over to the first question in the audit. So you can see here, it's going to tell you the section in the policy manual, the policy that it's coming from, and then it's also going to give you that question right up here at the top that you can read through. It is also going to give you that option if you have it marked, if corporate has marked it as being something you can mark as not applicable, you can mark that not applicable. And then you're going to see here's where you're going to score. 0 being non-compliant, and if you click down here or if you toggle over, it will be 1 or whatever the highest max score you have is compliant. So you just need to move that over to whatever you want to score. So if I press 0 here, you might want to put a comment down here. It will require you to put a comment if you have a 0. And then as you come down the screen, you can see we have 2 other buttons, an Add Corrective Actions and an Add Media. Over here on the right-hand side, it's going to show you how many of those you have entered for this actual question. Now, if I click on the Add Corrective Actions button, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. And it's just pretty much like what Courtney was showing you. You're going to add the employee names, which you can add multiple employees to that corrective action, the target date, the priority level, and then comments. And then from this one, you can also add a media or add a picture to it. So if you click on that, you can add that picture. I do want to make sure you know that this one, Add Media button, is for this actual question, whereas this one is for the corrective action that's going to show on there. So if I click on the Add Media button up here, this one, then, whoops, sorry about that. What will happen is it'll go to your camera on your mobile device, And you're going to take the picture, and then it will bring it into this screen that we're showing over here on the right-hand side, and you can annotate it. So there'll be different colors you can annotate with. We have black, red, green, and blue. And then you can just use your mouse and draw on a picture and circle whatever item you want, or put an arrow on there using your mouse. And then when you're done, you're going to hit Save Drawing, and you have the option of either finding more pictures in the library, or you can take another picture clicking here, or if you're done, you can just hit the back arrow. So once you're done doing all the questions in the audit, and you're ready to upload it back into the system, you're going to come back to this page that we started on at the very beginning and go to the Upload Finished Audits, and you're going to click on that. It's going to bring up all the audits that are ready to be uploaded. You can see here our pre-operational checklist is ready to be uploaded, so we're going to click on that. Then what it'll do is it'll pop up this box that says Confirm Upload, and you hit Upload, and then it's going to pop up another box that you're going to hit OK on, saying yes, it's okay to upload that. And then what will happen is it'll automatically upload as long as you're within Wi-Fi range to the online system. So you can see here, this is the one we did, and it's automatically uploaded and it's there. The next thing we're going to talk about is our report library. The first report we're going to look at, or first thing we're going to look at, is subscribing to reports. So if you want to subscribe to any report in our system, you're going to go to the report library, find that report, and then once you have that report pulled up, to subscribe to it, you're going to want to first go down to this grayish tan box that's down here and make sure all your filters are set the way you want. Once you get those set, you hit View Print. It'll show up down here at the bottom. That's when you know that it's time to start subscribing to it. So what you do is you first come to this first drop down. You can see the different frequencies that you can have this report sent to your email, and you pick which one you want. Maybe you want it weekly on a Monday. And then the next one you click on is the type of file you want it to be. It can be a PDF, an Excel document, an image, a Word, or a CSV. And then you're going to want to put in the friendly name. You just click on that and type in the friendly name, like I could call it Galveston Open Audits. That way I know which one is coming to my email. And then I'm going to hit Subscribe Others, or Add Subscription. Now, you can also subscribe it to others by clicking this box. It will pop up an employee picker. You can pick the employees you want to get the same report and hit Subscribe Others, and it'll send it to them also. The first report we're going to look at is the Open Audits report. You can see here we're looking at the location. So we're looking at Sicily, and we're going to look at all the different audits that they have under there. So they have an environmental compliance sanitation audit. And you can see that they have not done the environmental or the sanitation audit. It's a little overdue, 800 days. But they have done the compliance audit and the walkthrough audit. So it's showing green for compliance and red for non-compliance. If you click on this, you can actually go straight to the audit and see it as a PDF. If you want to, this is where it's highlighted in blue there, and you can see that audit. The next one we're going to look at is the audit question score trend. And this report's kind of neat to look at because you can take a question and look at how people have scored it over a certain amount of time. So you can see our employees' hand gloves, equipment, and utensils that contact unsanitary objects washed and sanitized before contacting products. It has been scored as 0 a couple of times for non-compliant. So you can kind of see in the trend up here that certain times of the year it possibly could be an issue. So maybe you need to review your sanitation policies with them about how they need to clean things a little better during that time of the year. The next report we're going to look at is the Variance Open Close by Audit report. So you can see over here on the right-hand side, we're just looking at the pre-operational checklist. We do have a couple of locations listed here. Down here you can see that at Galveston, the kitchen equipment is in working condition along with each component and accessory in place. Well, there was a beater that was not, that was bent, so they did put in a corrective action for somebody to replace or order those new beaters, and also a couple extras so they have spares. And you can see that in this report. Then you can see over here on the right-hand side if the policy audit investigations have been closed for these. This is a good way of keeping track of those investigations to make sure they're getting closed by looking at this report. The next thing we're going to look at is the dashboard audit card. So this is one of the new features we have this year. If you haven't seen the dashboard yet, you can always talk to your account manager. What this one does is you can see down here on the bottom, these are some of the audits that they have in there. And this is all filtered by, you can filter by location, audit types, and time frame. So you see there's a walkthrough, a compliance audit, and EAP audit. And over here on the left-hand side is the average score that has been given on those audits over a certain amount of time. So this is a good thing to look at to see if you need to work a little bit maybe on the EAP audit with the locations to see why it keeps getting a lower score. We do want to mention that we do have some help options. The first one is on the right-hand side. It's called Help Files, if you can see that over here. If you click on that, it'll give you a step-by-step tutorial on different things that you might want to read about because you can't figure out quite how to navigate through our system. That's something you can look at. We also have the live chat feature where you can talk to one of our associates anytime from 8 to 5 Central Standard Time. And then we also have the option of using help desk tickets if you want to put a ticket in, and then our associates will get back to you as soon as they can give you an answer. All right, does anybody have any questions?
We'll give everybody just a minute to add any questions to the chat feature.
All right, so far we haven't seen any questions, so we're going to go ahead and stop the webinar. If you guys have any questions, you can also call your account managers. We will be sending this out again in the email to all the people who signed up for this webinar. And I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.